Hello, my name is Rob Carlmark, and I'm a meteorologist here at ABC 10 in Northern California. Now, what I do most mornings is the local TV weather, but this is a separate version of what we do here, expanding to more other places in the state, so you can get the whole picture, because really what we're going through right now is absolutely historic, with many more consequences down the line, and we still have active storms coming. In fact, we're going to have one on Tuesday, and perhaps another big one next week. So the rain and the snow keep piling up. And at this point, and I know that you're not supposed to say this in California, by the way, we actually have too much of certain things, certainly for the southern Sierra, which is at almost triple of average. They're looking at basically 3 seasons worth of snow, frozen and ready to go as eventual snowmelt, which will overwhelm many of the systems down below. And that's really what I want to start off with first, because we have the benefits of the rain and snow, which is getting rid of the drought for most of the state, not all, but most. And then we're going to start to see some of the downsides. And we've seen this during the season with heavy rain, flooding already for at least 40 of the more than 50 counties in California, and also major wind damage, erosion, huge amounts of destruction already. But the snow is something that's going to be with us for a while, because once it piles up, then it has to melt, and then it works its way through the system. So we're going to turn our attention to Central California. Now, if you don't know about this area, this is the southern end of the world-famous San Joaquin Valley. And I say world-famous because so many things grow here. And for some crops, it's really the #1 producer in the world for certain things. Almonds, pistachios. We've got huge areas that grow you name it, grapes and tomatoes. And in this particular area, notice how it looks just so much different than everything else around. You see all the green irrigated fields, because when this photo was taken, this was obviously during our dry season, where everything natural is dried out, but if it's irrigated, it's green and growing. This area looks different because it's the lake bed of Tulare Lake. This is all over the news now, and it should be, because it's a very historic moment and story in California. This was once the largest freshwater lake west of the Mississippi. Now, when I say largest, I'm talking area-wise, not necessarily water content-wise, because there's other places, Tahoe, that are wide, but also very, very deep. This would be a shallow area. Over time, they diverted water for various purposes. It's a whole long story there. But what you need to know is that this is a naturally occurring low-lying area, and was the end destination for many of the creeks and streams and rivers that flow out of the southern area of the Sierra and then start to flow. And then the problem is that it dead ends there. Unless it was a major rainy year, it would not connect to the San Joaquin and then eventually go out to sea. So basically was a lake that more or less, it would grow in size depending on the season, but it was more or less permanent until we diverted water and it became basically dry. This year is different. There is so much going on there. This is a dairy farm that they had to evacuate the cows from, that are connected to what's going on in that lake bed, which is now seeing overwhelming amounts of water into the system. It's much different than a lot of places in Northern California where there's a dam, spillways, river systems to get it out to the ocean. In that particular spot, it's really difficult to move the water along, because it's a system of canals and dams, and much of it is private. So it's a different situation. So watch that story unfold in the months ahead. For us locally, we've got cold morning temperatures. We think we set a new record at 33 degrees in Sacramento, previous record 34. And we've got another storm that's going to be moving in. This is rain and snow, and it's moving fairly quickly. And this, earlier this morning, was just a faint area of low pressure. Now it's really tightening up. It's going to get strong, and it's going to move through our area with a cold number of impacts, lower snow, higher snow totals, and definitely colder temperatures as well. Today, low 60s, which is cool for Sacramento, but it's not going to be very windy, and it's another dry day. We had a dry weekend. We add in another dry day with little wind. This is a good day. We need these breaks. But then tomorrow, as it rolls in, it's going to be a windy storm as well. So we've got a lot of impacts all lining up for your classic winter storm: rain, wind, and snow. The timing of this, remember, I'm recording this on Monday, but most likely it's going to be starting very light in the beginning, overnight, and then early in the morning for your Tuesday. You've got heavy valley rain, heavy Sierra snow, and then it moves through. And then in the afternoon, we're going to be looking at lingering light rain and continued heavy snow. 2 to 3 feet of Sierra snow at the top. Couple inches down to 3,000 feet, which is going to be another low snow event. It's rare to see this in March, but this is what we've got. And then we've got another Wednesday where storms are going to be pushing through. So we've got Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 days of active weather with rain and with snow and wind. And then we're going to start to dry out through the weekend. Now, far northern California is in line to get a little bit more and some colder systems. And truth be told, that's the one spot that probably could use a little bit more. Shasta is now 80% full, so it's basically at its average for now. It's only releasing water for environmental obligations. And you can see over the next 10 days, the northern Sierra and central Sierra is going to get more rain and snow than other places. Drought's gone in the middle of the state, little bit left over the far corner of the state, Mojave Desert, and we've seen a drastic reduction in drought conditions all over the place. We are in a good spot. So that's why I'm saying more rain and more snow could actually complicate things more than help things. With that said, we're going to see a long dry stretch starting Thursday through the weekend, and we could be looking at more action middle to the end of next week. But you know what? That's more than 10 days out, so I'm going to stop it right there.